everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of Sooner Girl Sports Pod. And I want to welcome my special guest, Amber Flores. Amber is the head softball coach at Seminole State College, and she is the head softball coach for the Oklahoma City Spark professional softball team. She is a former OU softball player from 2007 to 2010. And her favorite Sooner memory is her very first practice at OU. During my episode with Amber, she talks about how she ended up at OU and why she stayed here in Oklahoma. I want to thank Amber for taking the time out of her very busy schedule to come on to the show and chat with me. It was an incredible interview, just talking about OU softball, Coach Gasso, the Oklahoma City Spark, and her time at Seminole State College. So I hope you enjoy my interview with Amber Flores. Well, thank you for taking the time to come on with me. You've been so kind. I feel like we know each other because we've been texting a little bit.
I love to support people and things that they want and things that they want to go after and goals. And we're all
awesome.
And so to see you kind of building your podcasts and surrounding OU athletics, well, I like the support of female sports in general.
Yes.
So as much as you appreciate our time, we appreciate you trying to build a sport for us.
Well, and I visited with Tina Floyd a couple of weeks ago, and she was so kind, of course, to take time for me. I know she's super busy, but it was really neat to visit with her and just talk about her vision. She kind of said the same thing that you did about supporting women and supporting other people who support women's sports, because that's really what it's all about. And we talked a lot about the Spark, which we will visit on here shortly. But yeah, I got my hoodie on.
I saw that. I was looking for the OU stuff for Spark. So I just rocked the OU today, but I was happy to see you with the Spark stuff.
Yeah, that's okay. So tell me a little bit about, where are you from originally?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Calexico, California.
Okay.
I grew up probably about 6 blocks from the Mexican border. I
wow.
could pick a more opposite place than Calexico, California and Norman, Oklahoma. Every time I go home, I'm like looking around, I'm like, God, it's 2 different worlds. It's extreme opposites, but both worlds that I love so much and both bring me so much joy, happiness. I love where I'm from. And obviously before OU is all I knew. And so I think it's so cool that I get to experience. I mean, truly, it is 2 completely different worlds. I've taken a couple friends home from Oklahoma down there. I took Tina, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, Tina went home with me for a couple hours. We were out in Palm Springs last year recruiting some OU players on the Spark, and we went home for a couple hours, and she's like, I cannot believe you are from here. So it's just 2 polar opposites. Both places just bring me so much love and joy.
Well, that's just a good example of home is always your home. It doesn't matter how different it is from wherever you end up. It's still your home, and you've come a long way, so to speak, but also part of you still belongs there. So that's really cool. How on earth did you end up at OU? I mean, obviously you were a standout softball player, so I'm sure Patty came for you, but what made you pick coming to Oklahoma?
It's such an interesting journey for me. I really wasn't that top recruiter. I only had 2 big time schools after me at that time. It was 3 really. I had OU, Arizona State, and San Diego State.
Nice.
Yeah, so very fortunate. 3 great options. Arizona State at that time had Clint Myers. I was a Clint Myers era.
Yes.
Amazing era there. He did incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But I was at probably 7th or 8th grade. I saw a magazine, Worth Softball magazine, and my mom tossed it on my bed and said, just look at it when you get a chance. And I saw Coach Gasso in the back. I don't even know if I ever told Coach this story, but I saw her on the back of it posing with a Worth bat. And I told my mom one day, I was like, I want to play for that lady one day. And I kind of had done some research on her after that and seeing how successful OU was. And they won the 2000 national championship. I just thought that was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I told my mom, I want to play for her one day. And I mean, my mom probably thought, I would assume, this is not going to happen. You are from Calexico, California. Our family is your typical Mexican family. Inseparable, insanely close. We are as close as they get. And so never in my wildest dreams that I think I would leave California. Yeah. And I always kind of assumed if I got the chance, I would go to Arizona or Arizona State. And then the process started kind of late for me. Like I said, I truly wasn't a big recruit. And I would always, the one thing that stood out to me about OU is I would walk, I loved college football, and
Mhm.
I would see Adrian Peterson,
Oh,
and like,
yes.
so cool. I would remember seeing the football stadium packed and all of that, and I'm like, I love it, something about it. And then Arizona State started recruiting me, and I think my parents just assumed it was a shoo-in. Went on a campus visit. I have a lot of family in the Phoenix area, Scottsdale
Mhm.
area, and I think my parents were like, "Yeah, this is where you're gonna go. This is great." And then OU kind of came in last minute, and I remember telling them on the way back from my unofficial at Arizona State, like, "Hey, I'm going to OU," and they were devastated. They were absolutely heartbroken. I think they were shocked. Like, I've never done something like that. I was just always kind of fell in line, and never in their wildest dreams did they think that I would go big and go to OU, just because of the distance.
Yeah.
And I think they were shocked, they were stunned. So, but my parents are incredibly supportive. So we came out on our official visit, and they loved everything about it. They loved the program. They loved Oklahoma. They loved what the people are about, the state. They fell in love right away. And oddly enough, my parents and my brother are moving to Oklahoma in 2 months. Yeah,
Gosh, that's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, incredible. So my whole family will be out here. They love Oklahoma.
That's
My
cool.
brother, so I committed to OU, and then my brother actually came out here with me and went to school at OU as well.
Oh, okay.
And he graduated from OU. We're both
Okay.
graduated, and so OU ties just run so deep in our family now, and something so special. It's funny because my dad says all the time to me, like, I would have never in my wildest dreams thought we would ever even visit Oklahoma.
Right?
Like, we have no family here, we have no ties, had nothing at all before I came to OU. And I remember when I told my parents, like, I'm going to OU, they were like, do you even know where that's at on the map? I'm like, not really. You probably should process that a little bit, but I just knew, and it's something about it. I committed, and I hadn't even come out here yet,
Oh,
but
wow.
I knew something about it in my heart. It felt
Mhm.
right. It felt Coach Gasto obviously was a massive selling point, but I loved my assistant coaches. I loved Coach Lombardi. I still talk to her.
Yes. Oh, gosh, yes. She's incredible.
Incredible, as special as they get. I love her, and that was another huge selling point. And then, honestly, a lot of people don't know this, but Jimmy Gasso was a huge part of a selling point for me. I
Okay.
think instantly it felt like family with him.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a father away from home.
Oh,
Somebody that held me accountable, was really hard on me, but it felt like family, like a uncle type of relationship that I got to experience. I feel like he related a lot to me just from, we're both Mexican. I feel like he understood that. He understood the ways to push me into things that I needed. And even to this day, it's still family. And we had our moments like we did at OU where I needed to, he is incredible at tough love. That's his strength. And I needed
need
that.
that. Yeah.
I needed that badly. He held me accountable in every way. And so that was a huge part of my journey here at OU was him. And a big part of a big selling point for me truly was him.
Awesome. Obviously a lot of people love Coach Patty and carry on about her and wanting to play for her just as a strong woman and the force that she is. So that's really cool to hear you say that about her husband. And yeah, I mean he's kind of doing his little own thing now. And did you see? No, it was in the fall. OU, they came to Norman for a fall game, and he came to the home plate dressed as like a lion or something.
I did. I was like, Poppy, what is that? We all call him Poppy. That's his
Yeah,
nickname. Like, Poppy, what is happening?
that was hilarious.
Yeah, that's him though. It doesn't surprise me. I'm really proud of him too. He's done amazing at MacU. He's done great.
Yes.
We've got to play them this fall. They're good. He's done some really good things there.
That's awesome.
I mean, I think success in coaching runs in that bloodline.
It has to, clearly, with her sons, too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see what he's done just in such a short amount of time. Because they've gotten a lot better from year one to year two,
Yes.
lot better, and he'll have a lot of success there this year. They did some really good things last year, and they'll be even better this year.
That's awesome. That's really exciting. So you were at OU like between national championship times, so to speak. So, but tell me a little bit about because when you were there, And I talk about this a lot because it's amazing how technology has advanced the world and sports in
Yeah.
general over the years. But you were there at a time when it softball was not like popular, so to speak, like on TV,
Yeah.
unless it was a postseason. Of course, everybody's always like, "Oh, it's
Yeah.
time for the World Series." But as far as just softball season in general, and I think it's a good thing. I think Tina and I were talking about this, just about social media in general. Like, there's pros and cons with social media, but I've always been a big proponent of social media just because I try to focus on the positive of it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and one
Yeah.
of the big things for me is over the years, Twitter has become, or now X, it has become a big thing. But like, you can pretty much follow any sports team on Twitter. If you can't watch the
Yeah.
game or go to it or listen to it or anything else, you can follow on Twitter and see what's going on. And so I
Yeah.
think that that's really cool because back when you were in college, that wasn't really a thing yet, and
Yeah.
it was hard to follow your teams. And so that's what I tell people now. I'm like, there's really no excuse. I mean, I know we're all busy. We all can't go or watch or listen all the time, but it's great that we can follow our teams. So back in your day, back to my original question. So you guys were at Marita Hines. What were the crowds like there? Like, was it full, or like what was the vibe?
Yeah, they were good. The crowd's really good. I feel like we were really supported. My freshman year, we were really good. We were ranked number one in the country.
Mm-hmm.
No, people ask me all the time, how many World Series did you win? We didn't win any in my time there. And honestly, at my time at OU, we didn't even make the World Series. In my freshman year, we were really good, ranked number one. And so it was really, really supportive then. I feel like all the way through it was really good, especially during Big 12 play. During my years, Big 12 play was legit. It was
Yes.
really, really good. You had A&M. My first year A&M was loaded. That was
Oh,
the Amanda
yes.
Scarborough, Megan Gibson era.
Yes.
Sharonda McDonald. They were really, really good. And then, after that, you had Baylor with Whitney Cannon, and then you had Missouri with Chelsea Thomas.
Okay. Yes.
And so during my era, the Big 12 was stacked. It was really, really good. And so I feel like the crowds were good, especially when we play at opposing places as well. But the social media thing wasn't a thing at all.
Yeah.
I remember, it's so random, but my freshman year, we were in the Bud, the old dorms, where we
Uh-huh.
used to hang out. One of my teammates is like, "Hey, do you know what Facebook is?" I was like, "No." She's like, "Well, I'm gonna make you one. Let's come down to the computer lab." And I was
The
like, "Okay,
computer
yeah,
lab. Yeah.
let's do it in the computer lab because we're supposed to be studying right now, but let's do this." And I remember making a Facebook in there and having no clue what it was. And then my senior year, I don't even know what you would call her. She just assisted with the team and the website stuff and all of that. She's like, "Hey, I need you to get a Twitter," and I'm like, I don't want that. I don't like." At that time, I was like, I don't want to be on my phone. Like, I want to hang out with my people. And
Yeah.
so there was no such thing as that. There was no such thing as branding and think about your social media awareness. It's interesting because I see this a lot with our Spark players now, where that stuff is so crucial and so
Mm-hmm.
important. Even when we talk to Tina and Zach at Old Hat, he's our social media. He's in charge of
Yes.
all. Zach's amazing. He's in charge of all our social media. And I was just telling Zach, I was talking to them last week about it, and I'm like, I really kind of would love to delete all social media for a little bit. They're like, you cannot, you gotta stick on this thing. And I'm like, okay, I'll stick on it. But it's so interesting to see how much social media has taken over, but also to see the brands that these players have built. And
Yep.
these players are legit. I don't know if you want to, in the softball world, they're celebrities. They
Oh,
are.
they
They're
totally
celebrities.
are.
We were out in New York this summer. We were playing,
Mm-hmm.
and we went out to team dinner, and Jada had posted this picture of our meal, and so we're eating, go out to the vans, and there's like fans lined up there and kids that are crying to meet her, and
Oh
and
my.
yeah, and it's like it's really interesting. It's really different, and even at our games, we're leaving the parking lot, and it's hard to get out with these players
Mm-hmm.
because it's just these fans just rushing them, and so it's such a different world nowadays. And these women have done an unbelievable job of, like I said, of building their brand, of another pathway and another avenue to making money. And they've done,
Yes.
all the NIL stuff, and they've done so great with this stuff. And it's unbelievable to see. It's been interesting for me to sit back and be a part of it and just see it from a different lens as a coach now, and how far our game has evolved. These guys are legit celebrities. Like when we travel, when we're at the airport, I'm like, I don't want to be, I'm like, so I'm going to stay away from them. I do not want to be close to Kinsey or Jada or these guys, because it's just a rush. And it's not just little girls. It's women, it's men, it's grandmas, it's everybody. These women have just done such a great job of building a brand, but not only that, just growing the game. The game is as popular as it's ever been. Yes, because of social media, but also what OU has done for the game has completely changed things for everybody in the sport.
Absolutely. You're exactly right. I think about when they've played in California, like at the Mary Nutter, and even this year they didn't play in any tournaments out there, but they made their little tour, in the area out there, and there's people lined up to see Oklahoma softball. They're not just there for the game, which obviously they love the game, but they're there for the brand, the team, the players, and it's just crazy to see. I mean, I've never met Jada Coleman or Kinsey or Tiare, and if I were to see them at a restaurant, I'd probably fangirl too. And I'm a grown adult, but yeah, it is crazy because they are celebrities. They're like influencers.
They are, absolutely, they are. And, it's funny because my cousin came up last summer with her husband and their two daughters, and they got to meet them and the whole crew, and my little cousin came in the door and she's like crying. I'm like, what are you crying for? She's like, I got to meet Boone. I'm like, oh, okay. Like Riley Boone. She wanted to meet her so bad.
That's really cool.
Follows her on social media. She, in her mind, Riley Boone is everything. And in my mind, I'm like, Boone, put the butt down or do what I want you to do. But she does. She's phenomenal. Amazing human, right? But it's just, I don't process it that way. But then to see my little cousin crying because she got to meet her idol, who she wants to be like, who in her eyes is a straight up celebrity. Like in her eyes, Riley Boone is up there with Justin Bieber, whoever her favorite. I don't know. Like it's like I met Riley Boone today, and she took a picture with me, and now my entire year is made. And so it's so cool to see that from my end in a different lens, and to see how much the game has evolved and how much these players are they're celebrities now. It's something pretty special.
They really are, and like you said, it's really cool for you to kind of stand on the outside and look in, like you as a former player, and then now as a coach, and like those are your players for your team, and you're just like, what the heck? But it's funny that you mentioned, just talking about them making a brand for themselves and NIL and all of that, because I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about NIL, and there's pros and cons to it, don't get me wrong, but especially for these softball girls and even the basketball girls, they don't have a lot to, like, quote, look forward to post college. As far as money goes, for sure. I mean, there's plenty of opportunity, but the opportunities aren't there for them like it is for the men, and that's hard. Like, I'm sure for you as a player, like we want to fix that. Like as a coach, a former player, and just as women in general, like we want to see them have better opportunity. And it's been neat to see like Caitlin Clark and what she's done with the WNBA. Yeah. And of course she makes plenty of money with her, advertising and all that. But it's crazy to look at her salary for playing basketball as opposed to someone, in the NBA who does the same thing, and they're making tenfold what she is or more. And that's discouraging. But again, back to the NIL thing. I know, again, there's a lot of pros and cons with it, but I think it's great that these girls have an opportunity to make that brand for themselves and get that money while they can, because when they're out of college, those opportunities aren't there anymore. So I think it's great. Like I've seen, like Peyton Verhulst, she's a OU women's basketball player. She's on with Cane's Chicken. And so I always see her stuff on Cane's commercials and things things like that. And I'm like, hey, girl, go get it. Because I don't know what the future holds for her, with basketball. I mean, she's a heck of a baller, but who knows? And then same with these softball girls. I mean, they've got an excellent team to play for in Oklahoma City, but, the money's just not there like if they were a boy. And that sucks. And I hate that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you hit it right on. I mean, personally, I think you're right. I think there's pros and cons. I think it can create for really interesting things for coaches and the way the game is going and the future of the game. But I love to see women, not only OU softball players, I love to see Nigeria Kennedy getting, I
oh
think,
yes.
$1.2 million. You look at anybody else in Major League Baseball or, that's at the top of their sport or any other, top college football players are making $5-6 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
And she is at the top of her game in our sport
Mm-hmm.
right now. She is the best, one of the best arms in the country. She's the face of it. Granted, there's other people there, and you've got some people at OU, Florida. You have other players there, but she's at the top of her game. Why not? Why shouldn't she get that?
Absolutely.
She's deserving of it, and it's only good for our game for that to happen.
Absolutely.
I think it's awesome. I think I'm like $1.2 million. Did I ever think that softball would be here? And it's incredible. It's just pushing our game forward.
It
It's all
totally
it's
is.
doing. It's pushing our game forward. It's pushing the limits forward. Obviously, like you said, NIL can create for some really interesting things. It's changed the game tremendously. It's going to continue to grow, evolve, change. There's going to, 5 years from now, it's going to look completely different. 3 years from now, it's going to look different.
It will.
It's it's tough for the mid majors. It's some schools it's really it's created an imbalance, but I also think to see these young women making money off of a sport they love, just like these males are, it is incredible to see, and I can't be any more excited to see that number being pushed higher and higher.
I completely agree, and I think it's really neat. I mean, it's provided a lot of opportunity for them not only to make money for themselves, but to get out in the community and make a difference in the community with a brand behind them, promoting them or whatever. But I'm like, hey, go for it, because like you said, these athletes are celebrities, especially to their local fan base, but just, in general for their sports. And for them to get out in the community and be involved in, whatever, like they're promoting not only themselves and the school, but they're promoting whatever, brand is behind them. And then, like I saw today, Dayton Forsyth, he's a basketball player. He was at Goodwill in Norman. And so they were like, hey, Dayton's going to be there between whatever it was, 2 and 4. So come bring your donations to Goodwill and you can meet Dayton and get your picture with him. And so I saw people posting about meeting him, and I thought, well, that's just a great opportunity. I mean, I'm sure he was somewhat compensated for that, and that's fine. But, that brought in stuff that the Goodwill needs, that helped promote Goodwill and him, and people got to meet him. So it's just a good opportunity. And I know the softball girls have done stuff like that too, especially, well, I think this is like OU and not the Spark, but at Mathis Brothers, they've done like autograph stuff where the players can come and then you go like line up and they let in so many people. And my friend's husband works at Mathis Brother, and he said that on those days, it's like insane because if they only let in so many people or like a certain time cut off or whatever, like people are nuts. Like they get there super early because they want to get in, and then they get mad if they miss the cutoff and all that kind of stuff. But it's almost like they're movie stars.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was telling Tina, I've been this first season of Spark, I had not season tickets, but like the mini pack or whatever. So we came to like 5 or 6 games. And then last season we came to 3 or 4. But it's crazy that there's all of these elite big name players that are not only playing for the Spark, but are coming in on these other teams like Nicole Mendez, former Sooner players, and then just other excellent players in general. And all these big name players are coming in, and I'm like, why are there not more people here?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like, look at this roster. Like, come on. Why are you people not coming?
Yeah, no, we were playing Team USA this past summer, and man, the rosters, the lineups on both sides were insane.
Yes.
Absolutely loaded. The best softball players in the world were playing that day at the Hall of Fame, and we had a great crowd. No complaints, great crowd. you think man, this place, every seat should be sold out just because you're talking about one of the best softball games played in the world with all of the greats
Mm-hmm.
right then and right there. And so it's interesting to me. And it goes back to that thing we talk about branding and building something, and that takes time. And
It
we clearly
does.
realize that as with the Spark, is it's going to take time. To see the crowds that we've gotten has been great and amazing. But we understand we're in this thing for the long haul, and it's going to take some time. But these rosters, and even if we're playing, I don't know, the New York Rise, I look at their roster and I'm like you said, Mendez and just some of these players, I'm like, God, they're elite. Michaela
Yes.
Smith, who is one of the best players in the world, she's playing in Japan right now. She played at Cal, and she is just incredible, incredible player. And so you're right. I assume like every seat in the house should be taken at any home game day because we're putting out an incredible product. And
Absolutely.
but like I said, it goes back to branding, and we understand that takes time, and we understand that we're getting there every summer. Granted, we're barely about to be in summer 3, but every summer it feels like we're growing and we're getting better and we're getting somewhere and providing an opportunity. I think you touched on it earlier. Is our game right now in softball is at the college level. It is. It's the most popular level. What OU has done across the board for not only softball but women's sports in general is something incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So our game right now is at the college level, but what I know Tina's goal and vision is to give these players an opportunity when they are done at their time. They should have what they have built, not only OU, but a lot of these programs across the D1 level. What they have built, these women should have the opportunity to go on, play professional softball, and make a living out of it.
Yes.
That's the ultimate goal. The talent is there, the branding is there. It's gonna take time. We've got to figure it out, and that's tricky. But I know Tina will get us there, and I know her purpose and her vision is to
Yes.
create these opportunities for these young women that have deserved it, that really do deserve it.
You're exactly right. And you said the talent is there, and you're just hit the nail on the head because, I mean, I joke and I call Spark the Sooners 2.0, but, there are a lot of Sooners on that team, but there's so many other great names that Tina has brought in, and you guys have gotten to come to Oklahoma from other places, and it's just incredible to see that. And I look forward to it. I mean, I was so excited when I found out that we were going to have a professional softball team in Oklahoma City because I thought there's no better place to have it. I mean, we've got Hall of Fame Stadium right here. We've got all these players that play in Norman, and even Stillwater has some great players as well to come and recruit from those places and have like your hometown girl like Sydney Sherrill. She didn't play for any Oklahoma schools, but she's from Moore. And I know when I've been to Spark games, her family is there.
Denise Sherrill runs deep in the state of Oklahoma.
Yes.
She runs deep. She does. People love her.
Yes.
That young woman is gonna get as much support as any one of our OU players
Oh
or
yeah.
our Oklahoma State players. Her ties run deep here. Done a great job. I think the biggest thing when I was roster building was I want to build this with people that have Oklahoma ties. Now,
Oh,
not necessarily,
absolutely.
we have Michelle Moultrie, played at Florida. She's not from Oklahoma, but she does have ties here in the sense. Actually, Michelle Moultrie actually lives in Oklahoma now too. So,
Oh, okay.
she loved it so much, but she does have ties here. She played in the World Series here for Florida.
Uh-huh.
She's done a lot of stuff with Team USA. She's spent a lot of time playing at the Hall of Fame in Oklahoma City. So she's got ties here. We've got Chloe Malaulu, who maybe necessarily doesn't run deep here with her Oklahoma ties, but my best friend who played at OU coached her in college, and so there's always these little ties back to Oklahoma, and a lot of people say this is OU 2.0, and for me, it's one of those things where it's not just because I played at OU, but obviously when it comes to branding, we want people, people are bought into these OU players. That's the bottom line. And we've got the best program in the country right down the road. Why would we not take these incredibly
Absolutely.
So I think from our end, it wouldn't be necessarily smart if I didn't roster build with OU players,
Right.
and yeah, and so we don't ever force a situation. It has to be a situation that's right for us on the roster, but we really try to build this thing around OU and OSU, and we've had some really, really great OSU players. Chelsea Alexander,
Uh-huh.
my all-time favorite player. I always say that. I love Chelsea Alexander with every fiber in me. I have the utmost respect for that young woman. She now works for the Spark.
Yes.
It was one of our first signees, Rachel Becker. Rachel
Yes.
Becker played at OSU. Incredible player. She's still with us. I mean, I have the utmost respect for Bex. Great player, great human, and has done really well for us. And I'm really looking forward to her being back with us this summer. So we really try to stay deep on the Oklahoma ties. We want people to be bought into it. It's important for our branding. We understand that. And not only is OU the best program in the country, but OSU's up there. What
For
he has
sure.
done here in the last 5-6 years,
Mm-hmm.
incredible. Kenny's done an amazing job.
He has.
And we also understand the importance of going after those young women as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, so my husband actually graduated from OSU, so he's a coach.
Okay. We'll forgive him.
I know, right? We're a house divided, but we have a good time with it because, we have to. But he's not quite as, I'll say, passionate as I am. I'm just a little more outgoing and boisterous about it. He's a little quieter supporter.
Yeah.
So it works well. But yeah, so we closely follow OSU softball as well. So it's been neat to see those players come in with the spark. And then we'll be at Bedlam softball at Hall of Fame. It's actually on my birthday. So I'm very excited about that. I mean, we're really into anything that's Bedlam, obviously. If it's Bedlam, we're going, if at all possible. We love to do that. But yeah, so I've followed OSU softball, especially the last 5 or 6 years, just with social media, and of course the television is more prominent these days as well, and so that has helped. As bad as COVID and that whole time frame was, it did a lot of good, I think, in that area, in that it helped promote more things to be televised or played on the radio or with social media, because they're like, oh, well, people can't come. Even after they started allowing people to, go back to sporting events and stuff, like maybe some people didn't want to get out, but they still wanted to follow their team. So all of that's really ramped up in the last 5 or 6 years. And that's been very beneficial, like I talked about before, just following your teams when you can't be there. But yeah. So but we love, my husband actually went with me even the first season of the Spark. He went to at least one game with me, I know. And then last season, I know he did as well. So, I mean, he loves sports as well. And my niece, so about the time that you were at OU, we started taking her to softball games. And I have a picture of her with a poster schedule from the team. And she's like standing out there on the corner at Marita Hines, just holding her little poster. And you would have thought she was just in heaven, because she was just like, this is incredible. So I've been taking her to softball games for years, and so we'll actually be in Norman on Friday. We still go to a few games together every season, and we have for years. And then when Spark starts, we'll be there too. Yeah, I'm excited to watch the Spark. I was talking to Tina about this summer and the roster. She said a lot of people are returning, and then the teams that you guys might be playing and everything. And I know it had to have been weird last summer, but I feel like it was a good move for you guys to go independent and start kind of doing your own thing. But it's going to be interesting this summer too, I guess.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm incredibly excited about the roster. My job is to roster build, and so I really try to focus in and hone in on that pretty hard. We just signed a big time name. I'm so excited about this one. It'll drop on Wednesday, I think.
Oh, yay!
I think Sooner fans are going to be really excited.
Oh, that's awesome.
I won't say who it is, but you guys are going to be really happy. She's back. I can't wait. I'm so excited about this roster. It's a little bit different, which is always a good thing. I've loved every roster that we've put together, and we've done some great things. And so I'm super excited to see the challenge of this roster, or to see this roster come together and the challenges that we'll face in the summer. The thing that it's hard is, and what I've learned through mistakes really, is just how good these teams we play are.
Yes.
Any given day, you can get beat. And I asked myself, I'm like, how do we get beat last year when I look at our pitching staff? Like Melanie Ricketts, Amber Pfizer, Alex Sirocco,
Yeah.
what is wrong with us as a coaching staff? I look at our lineup: Haley Lee, Kenzie Hansen, Jada, Torres, Sydney Sherrill, Tiara, Tina. You should fire me at some point if I don't if I don't do a little bit better job. But then because you assume, I look at our roster and I'm thinking, okay, this is our vision, this is what I'm thinking, and you assume we're never going to lose with this roster. How do you lose with this roster? But then you go into games and you play teams and just how talented they are.
Yes.
Everybody is so talented, so deep. Hard to win ball games at this level.
Oh, for sure.
Very, very hard to win ball games. And last summer we got swept, and it's just like, gosh, I got to do a better job. And it's, you don't, it doesn't register at times because you're so competitive that, we got beat. We got beat because that
Yeah.
team was incredible, and their roster is just as deep as ours, and their pitching staff is just as deep. And so
Yep.
see, the parity is also great for softball, pro softball, because that is how good the level of play is. Any given
Yes.
day, we've been run ruled once or twice, and I'm like, how? And it just goes back to the level of play is incredible. And that is why we need to make pro softball work, because every one of these women deserve a home. And there's a lot of seniors out there this year that'll play their last year of softball. There is, because there's simply not enough teams
Yeah.
out there. There's only X amount of spots left for however many seniors you have in softball right now. And so it's so crucial that we can make this thing work. And I know we're all trying. It'll be an interesting summer. I leave that stuff up to Tina and Destiny Martinez, which is an OU softball great, like
Yes.
a little sister to me. Her and Tina are the brains behind the operation, and so they will figure out our next path. I trust in it. I have a good idea of what our plan is for next summer, and I'm really, really excited about that. I think huge things are coming. Spark fans and softball fans should be excited about it. I know we're headed in the right direction. One more summer of independent softball it's a challenge. I asked our team last summer, one of my questions to our players was, what are our goals? We're not playing in a league, so it's challenging. What are our goals? I don't know. And I asked our players last summer at the beginning, what are our goals? Because as a coaching staff, when I sat down and asked the coaching staff, they're like, well, this is an interesting direction for us because we're not in a league. We're not necessarily playing for something. And I think we all came to the conclusion that our goals were to grow the game. That was the most important thing. And how we could measure those and how we could do that and how we could influence things was, it went in a lot of different directions. But I think that was our main goal. And I think that's always going to be the main goals, is to grow the game. But I also think there needs to be these athletic, attainable goals. And, okay, we want to win a championship. We want this, this, and this. And so I know that Tina and Destiny are putting a lot of emphasis in that. And I know that we're headed in a really great direction. And Spark fans should be really excited about it.
That's awesome. That is very exciting. I mean, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I know Tina said you guys will start mid-June again. I think the schedule she said will be early March, so I'm ready.
We got to get you out to some games. We got to
I
get you to throw out a first pitch. So
Oh my
you
gosh,
tell me.
I don't think you
We'll
want me
make it
to.
happen.
You don't want me to throw a ball.
No, I would love to see it. So start getting ready.
I will do it if you want me to. I am there.
I will make it happen. I've got some connections. We'll make
Oh
it
my
happen.
gosh,
We'll make it
I
happen.
1000% cannot wait for that.
I'll make it
But
happen.
I am ready. I love coming out to support not only an Oklahoma team, but I love softball. And then there's all the OU players, and then just in general, I mean, I like to watch college softball.
I
There's
know.
so
Yeah.
many good teams and good names, and I will watch it. I mean, when OU was finished earlier, I just popped on, and well, OSU was playing, so I turned them on, and then they were finished. I just popped on another game. I mean, I don't care.
Yeah.
During
I'm
the
in
clear.
up with it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to watch. I'm really fortunate. I have a lot of friends in the profession, so I love trying to. One of my really good friends is at Arizona. I track her, follow her. My best
That's
friend's at
cool.
Mississippi State. She played at OU with
Oh
me.
yeah.
I watch every game of Sam's. We
Yeah, Samantha read it. Yeah.
talk about every game, and I mean, she's my sister. One of my really good friends is at Alabama, so I track
Okay.
them. But then there's so many programs that I have ties to. I love Wichita State and what Christy
Yes.
does down there, so I try to track everything she does and have a lot of respect for her. Always try to follow OSU and Tulsa. I think they're two great programs that have
They were
done some
playing
great
earlier.
things. Yeah. I mean, so I always try to track them, and just I'm with you. I'm a junkie, and I love it too. Like you said, the access we now have to watch these
Yes.
games. I could be on a road trip with my team at Seminole, And I look down the bus, and our players are watching. It could be OU, it could be
Yeah.
Texas. Texas hits a home run, or OU hits a home run. They're going crazy.
Yep.
When it's Bedlam softball, our players are locked in. They
Oh,
are
I bet
glued
so.
to their phones. OSU hits a home run. Some of them go crazy. Some of them start booing. It is amazing. It is really, really cool to see.
I
It's
love
really,
it.
really cool. They get really into. Our assistant coach is on her phone all the time, not because she's glued to it. She's watching softball
Oh
24/7. So she's like, Alabama State and Alcorn State are playing. I'm like, great, what's the score? Let's lock in. Come on. So the access we now have is great. It is awesome.
It certainly is. It's funny. I know we were talking about me watching softball at the beach, but I can't tell you how many times that I've done that because, in fact, Chris Plank has laughed at me because he's like, if I were watching softball or any sporting event on my anniversary trip, my wife would be pissed. But my husband, like, we're over there going, okay, who's playing next? What are we doing? It's so funny. I mean, I'm a huge football fan, and so is my husband, and he actually has tickets to Stillwater in the fall, and then I have mine in Norman. So we'll go with each other if we can, but he's a little more likely to be caught in Norman than I am in Stillwater. But we have a good time with it, but we like to follow our teams and watch our games, and it's easier to plan around football than it is basketball, even softball, baseball, because there's so many games.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've had to go with my husband somewhere to like some event, and I'm like, well, OU's, playing whatever. I guess I'll have my AirPod in. And I do.
Yeah.
I do. I've
Right.
listened to many softball games on my AirPods. And I went to a gala one time and had them in. I've been at church. I mean, those 10 a.m. games on Sunday are messed up. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
That's
that
not
is
right.
funny. I'm with you. I follow you, obviously. Being an alumni, I always want to follow them and support them. But really, I don't know if I'd admit this to too many. I guess I'm going to admit it on a podcast. But I really follow Mississippi State softball really close. Sam's my best friend.
Yes.
We talk every day, and
Well, that's understandable.
I feel like I tell her this all the time in a joking way. I'm like, there is nothing more in life that stresses me out than Mississippi State softball. It's pathetic. I'm like, Sam, I feel like I'm holding on to every pitch. I don't even stress about my jobs, about Seminole State, about the Spark, anything I do, but Mississippi State softball can absolutely ruin my Sunday.
That's funny.
And she is like, who are you telling? Like, I'm like, oh my God. So she was telling me today is they're coming down on Easter weekend and they're playing
Yes.
the Hall of Fame. And
I was going to say, yeah, you better go.
I know. She's like, you better be at every game.
Yes.
I was like, I will. She's like, I'll bring you Mississippi State stuff. I'm like, I'm not wearing. I don't bite the hand that fed me, sister. Sorry, I will not be in Mississippi State gear, but I will be there supporting you.
That's hilarious. I love it. Yeah. Of course, her name is known across Oklahoma just from being a Sooner, but it's really neat to see these former Sooner players that are now off coaching somewhere. And I mean, I think Shannon Sale is still at like UCF or somewhere. Do you know?
UCF. Yeah, UCF.
Yeah.
It's cool to see the coaching tree that coach has. And
Yes.
success. You have at all levels. Like my best friend, Jaden Smith Wallace, my assistant coach on the Spark, she's at USAO and they're incredible. And she's done an incredible job there. And I talk to her all the time and we are like family. You have Sam at Mississippi State. You have I played with DJ Mathis. DJ Mathis was at St. Greg's for a long time. And so one of my best friends is Brittany Williams. Oddly enough, I didn't play with B-Dub, but she's at NWOSU in Alva, D2. And so just to see the coaches coaching tree. I think it says a lot about coach too. I think if a lot of your players want to go into coaching, I think that means that they had an incredible experience at where they were at. They're not burned out with the game. It's something that they love. It's something they want to do. And I think that coach is behind that. I really do. I think it says a lot about her. And just how many alumni she has in the coaching world is awesome.
I agree with that. I know I loved watching Hope Troutwine when she was pitching.
Yeah, Hope's another one.
She's at Houston and I follow her on Instagram. And so it's cool to see. Like you said, I think it does speak a lot to Coach Gasso and just her as a person and as a coach. And then it's funny, like, let's see, Tiare Jennings and is it Carly Keeney? That's the other like student
Hmm. Yeah.
coach, I think, at OU. Okay. I was trying to remember who it was. I haven't seen much of Carly, but Tiara's been on first base this weekend because Fale Steel is about to pop.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even her, like her staying around and being with Coach Gasso and now Tiara, the student assistant, it's just really cool to see them out there too. And it's nice because we lost a lot of players, from last year. We lost half the roster basically. And it's crazy because you get attached to these people that you don't even know. Like
Yeah.
for me, I'll probably never even meet half of them, but you get attached to them and you feel like you know them, and then you're just like, where'd they go? It's really
Yeah, and it
weird.
happens fast too. It happens
It
like
really did.
you think back when Tira was a freshman. It's over with now,
I
and
know.
I
And I
think
feel
for
like
Sooner
Alyssa
fans,
Brito just got here.
yeah,
Like, where'd she go?
yeah, I think for Sooner fans, this transition is probably the hardest, the one they're going through right now,
I agree.
because you graduated the best class to ever do. Nobody will ever do what these young women just did.
They will not.
It'll never happen. And also, say somebody somehow at some point in history wins 4 in a row, there'll never be another though. They were the first.
Yeah.
The impact that they've had on the game, the way that they did it, there
Oh,
will
yeah.
never be another. There will never be anything like it. So I think it's a transition for Sooner fans right now.
It is.
Thankfully for Sooner fans, people ask me all the time. They're like, "How's OU going to be?" I'm like, "Great." They're like, "What do you mean? How can she keep?" I'm like, "Because the one consistent factor in all this is Coach Gasso."
Yeah, I
So
said we don't rebuild, we just reload.
she figures out a way.
She did.
She's special. She was just born to do this. She's a winner. She's a competitor.
She's incredible.
She's incredible. And people, are saying, "Well, the SEC play is different." It is. You're right. There's nothing like SEC softball, but it's Coach Gasso.
I'm
She
not
will
worried
figure.
about it
She's
at
a
all.
winner. She will always figure out a way. I think in every way she was meant to do this.
I agree.
She gets it. She knows. At this point, and one of the most impressive things I think about Coach is, if you look at a lot of older coaches in our game, they couldn't evolve with the game. She's
So
one of the
true.
few, if not the only one, that evolved and did it and got
Yes.
better. And then not only better, went to elite, went
Yeah.
on a different realm of, she put herself in a different category. Nobody will ever attain, at least I think, anytime soon, what
I
she's done.
completely agree. You're exactly right. She's definitely next level, like a whole other level above everybody else. And I know I've talked about this on some previous episodes with Tyler McComas because he's a huge softball fan. But just talking about Patty getting chosen to coach the Olympic team and it being right down the road, Hall of Fame, or I will always call it Hall of Fame. I know it's Devon
Yeah.
Park. I can't help it, but
Yeah.
it's just incredible to see. Like, what else could she possibly do? Oh, okay, wait. Now she's going to go to the Olympics because of course
That's the
she
thing.
is.
That's what makes it incredible with her. Is it's like, what else can you do? The way you've changed the game, the things you've accomplished, every award, every accolade, national championships. What else can you do? I'm gonna go
I'm going
be
to
the
go.
Olympic coach. And honestly, they couldn't have done it. They could not have picked a better person to lead them,
No.
to try to lead them to gold in this environment.
Absolutely.
I cannot imagine what that's going to be like in Oklahoma City when that comes around. It's going to be truly an incredible experience,
I
and
can't wait.
USA made the right move for sure.
I agree.
It was a no-brainer. You have the best coach in the world 20 miles down the road. Why would you even mess with that?
Yeah.
Make the right decision and go out and put her in the best possible situation to win gold.
Yeah.
We'll be right there. Japan's elite. All these countries are elite, but when you've got the best behind you leading the way, she will put them in the best possible situation to win gold.
She will. She will definitely keep up with them. I have no doubt. And it's crazy, like you were saying, as Sooner fans, we're kind of going through a weird transition right now because we've lost so many people that we feel like were around forever. And it's been weird. You look out at center field or you see number 24 and you expect that to be Jada Coleman. Or you expect to see Kenzie Hansen behind the plate. But we look at these players that she's recruited, and I'm just like, how did she do this? How did she replace these people with this group of people? And I'm still learning faces and names and all that and who goes where. But it's just incredible to watch this team. And here we are, like, not even a month in. and they're still undefeated. And like just today, Isabella Emmerling hit a grand slam. I mean, I know that it's still been non-conference teams and all that, but it's just you look at these names and you're like, where did this person come from? Who is this again? What does she do? Oh wait, she just hit a grand slam. Okay, guess I better learn that name. And it's just crazy because it's constant. I mean, it's just like you think, oh, I need to learn who this name is and where she goes. And oh, yeah, I guess I better learn this one too because she just hit a home run too. We had back to back home runs again today and another run rule. And I mean, it's just crazy, but it's incredible to see what she's done. And speaking of being undefeated, I think it's amazing. Our baseball team is also undefeated. So our Diamond Sports are 30-0 at OU right now. And that's just incredible. And Chris Plank said earlier that we're the only school that has undefeated softball and baseball, obviously, because the only other undefeated softball team is South Carolina, and they're coming to Norman on Friday.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes.
I actually got to have dinner with a OU baseball alum, or breakfast, sorry, a couple days ago, and he was telling me that their pitching staff is the best.
Oh, yeah.
He says they're pretty elite. So I try to keep up a little bit, and I did see your post on Instagram. I thought was really cool. Both are undefeated.
It's cool.
Exciting times for spring sports for sure.
It is.
I know, like I said, we talked a little bit about it. Sooner fans are going through a huge transition with OU softball. You're missing those seniors who isn't the greatest class to ever do, and then you're transitioning to the SEC. So it's a huge transition, but when you got the best to ever do it behind you, they shouldn't be worried at all.
Yeah, I'm not worried at all. I will be in Norman Friday night for the first South Carolina game, and I'm excited because there's one player that was at OU last year, Quincy Lilio, and she's like leading the batting in South Carolina right now. And they swept Duke this weekend and apparently put it on them pretty good. So it's going to be fun in Norman next week. I can't wait. So I have no doubt Patty will have them ready. And I love her. I love watching her and just watching her team. So, yeah.
That's one thing you can always guarantee with Coach is she will have every team ready every single game. Maybe at some point they go through growing pains. I mean, it's a brand new team or gelling.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The average fan doesn't understand is how hard it is to win ball games at that level. And you're talking about SEC play, elite play. So there may be some growing pains. There may be some transition pains. But the one thing that you can always guarantee playing for Coach is they're going to play hard. They're going to compete every inning. They're never going to give in. And
for sure.
She will have them prepared every single game day, whether it's South Carolina, Florida, or whether it's Wichita State. They're going to come in with the same approach. They're going to compete. They're going to play hard, and they're going to do things the right way.
Chris Plank was commenting on the radio just earlier today. We played Kansas City, and we ended up winning 17-1. They ended up hitting a home run like in the 5th inning. But anyway, it was crazy. Like in the 3rd and 4th inning, we were already up like 14-0 in the 3rd or 4th inning. And I guess somebody had texted or tweeted to Plank, and they were like, they're still playing like we're down. They're still playing like we're the ones that have no score. But they literally did not stop. They were all gas, no brakes for 5 innings until that game was over. And yeah, it's just crazy though. I've noticed that a lot with that team. Well, not just this season, but in general. But yeah, even just watching this new team, and you're like, okay, nothing has changed. It's just new faces.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna reload and they're gonna compete. They're gonna get after it. Like that's people ask me like, what was your time like at OU? And it's like it's been so long. I don't even remember a lot of the little details. I don't remember practices. I don't remember a lot of those little details. Maybe the ones I got kicked out of, but I don't. There's a lot of details I don't remember. But the one thing that will always stick out to me because I feel like it's carried over for me to life is you're always going to compete in that program. It is not an option. It's going to be blue collar. Yes, she has evolved with technology. She's evolved with time. The program is different, obviously, than when I was there. She's grown. She's gotten better. But that blue collar work ethic, compete will never change. That's who she is. That's in her DNA. That's what the program is going to be built off of. And Sooner fans can rest on the fact that there may be growing pains. Sure, it may be a transition to the SEC, but every single inning of every single pitch, they will compete, no matter who it is.
I have no doubt. Well, I'm about to let you go, but I can't let you go without asking you about your own team at Seminole State because, hello.
Yes, that's the full-time gig.
Yeah.
Along with others, but we're doing good. I'm really excited about this team. Really young. We're starting 9 freshmen, which in junior college, everybody's always young, right? But this
Yeah.
is by far the youngest team I've ever had. And I think we've so far got off to a really good start. It's
Good.
a long season, though. You're going to hit growing pains. We hit a really tough growing pains yesterday. We were playing two of the top teams in the country. We went into the seventh with both winning 6-4 both games and gave up walk-offs. And so that's a tough pill to swallow. Our kids were crushed, but we're young. We have
Yeah.
no experience. We've got to learn to win those games. I really believe this team is special, though, and I think we've got a shot to do some really, really good things if we continue on this pace. So I've got high expectations. One of my favorite teams I've had, just because they're just good humans. They've made my
Mm-hmm.
job easy in a time where I need it easy.
Uh-huh.
Just with managing the spark and trying to do both, it can get a little tricky, and this team has been really, really enjoyable. They do things right. They make our lives easy, and they've been fun. And so I've enjoyed this team just as much as any other team, and I love my job. I always say that. People are like, "When are you leaving?" I'm like, "Never. I hope."
That's awesome. I love
Yeah.
it. Well, I know that Tina thinks very highly of you, and all of the Spark players think very highly of you. So I have no doubt that your team there does as well. So I think it's really cool that, like you said, it speaks a lot of Patty that someone like you has gone into coaching after being coached by her, and it's neat to look back. I mean, I watched you play softball back in your day, and so that's crazy to think about. So it's just really cool to see how time changes things. And so I know you're very busy, and I appreciate you taking the time to come and chat with me for a very long time today.
Oh, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I appreciate what you're doing and the attention you're bringing to women's
Thank
sports and
you.
OU softball, the spark. It means a lot to us. So I really thank you.
Awesome. Of course. Thank you. I hope everyone enjoyed this awesome interview with Amber Flores, and I would like to thank her so much for taking the time to come on the show with me. I wanted to end this show with this week's Sooner headlines. I'm recording this on Sunday afternoon, March the 9th, and our softball team just finished sweeping the only other previous undefeated team in the nation, South Carolina, that we hosted at home this weekend. I was there Friday night when we gave them their first loss of the season, and it was an incredible game, a little lengthy, but a super incredible game. Yesterday's game got rained out and moved due to the weather, and they played a doubleheader today. Game 1 was over 3 hours long, and the Sooners ended up walking it off 10-9 in the 7th. And game 3 went a little different than the previous two games did. We won that game 2-1 in an awesome game by Audrey Lowry, who gave us an incredible win, a much needed sweep on the series for the softball girls. And I wanted to read a couple of stats from the softball team as this point in 2025, their numbers through week 5 of the season. So far, they are 22-0, their win-loss record, 3-0 versus top 25 teams, 12 run rule wins, 195 runs scored, 44 runs allowed, 46 home runs, 187 hits, 150 walks, 8 shutouts, 12 errors, 155 Ks through 138 innings, and a 25-game win streak. And thank you to Seth Olivares for those stats. The softball team finishes out the weekend with that nice sweep at home, the first SEC series of the season, and that is an incredible win for them over the undefeated South Carolina Gamecocks. They have a midweek game in Tulsa this week on Wednesday night at 5 o'clock, and then they will head on to Fayetteville for next weekend, the first road SEC series of the season. Our baseball team rebounded nicely from a midweek loss at DBU, and they swept at home over the weekend. They had Bark in the park today, and Top Dog made an appearance there at Eldell Mitchell. And what a great weather day today for stickball. We had 4 games, 4 wins. Baseball swept the weekend also. It was a fantastic rebound for them, and our Diamond Sports are really doing fantastic this season. So if you get a chance, grab some tickets, grab some seats, get out to the ballpark and support them. Our women's basketball team lost to South Carolina in the SEC semifinals yesterday afternoon. However, they are still projected to be seeded top 5 team to host the first and second rounds of the tournament the week of the 19th. So we will find out next Sunday on the 16th for Selection Sunday what their fate is for the women's tournament, and we will also find out about our men's team who won last night at Texas. That was such an unexpected win on the road for them. It was Porter's first time to beat Texas ever as a head coach at OU, and he did it on the road against our rival in a must-win game to get into the tournament. We had to win that game to even have an 80% chance to get into the tournament. Of course, fingers crossed we can win our first game of the SEC tournament, which they play Wednesday night. I believe at 8:30 is the projected start time for that game. They will play Georgia in round 1 of the SEC tournament, so they really need to grab that win on Wednesday night to move on to the second round of the SEC tournament, and that will help to possibly have a better chance at getting into the tournament. I would be remiss to let this get by without mentioning that our very first SEC champion ever in any sport was our track and field pentathlon athlete, Pippa Lauda Enoch. She won the SEC title last week, and that was the very first SEC champion that we have had at the University of Oklahoma. So congratulations, Pippi. I would like to end the show with a Sooner Fun Fact of the Week, and it is brought to you by my friend Jeremy Ham at Ham Oil Company. And did you know that Maggie Nichols is the only Sooners women's gymnast who became the first student athlete in OU history, male or female, to be named the Big 12 Conference's Athlete of the Year on 2 separate occasions during her time at OU. For my Sooner MVP of the week, I'm going to go with Audrey Lowry, and honestly, there were lots of good options this week between our women's basketball. I could have chosen several of those girls on the team. Reagan Beers played excellent in the tournament. I'm going to go with Audrey Lowry because she today in Game 3 pitched a complete perfect game to close out the series against South Carolina and seal the deal on our sweep at home. It was a big deal to battle and win our first SEC series. We needed that from her. She had an excellent performance, and our Sooners really came out this weekend and got the job done on the diamond, and they did it without Sam Landry, who was out with an undisclosed injury. However, they did say that it doesn't look like it's a long-term injury, so that is definitely good news for Sooner fans. So thank you everyone for listening to this week's episode of Sooner Girl Sports Pod. And again, I would like to thank everyone for all the support that you've given me on your downloads, subscribes, and listens on all the social media platforms and podcast platforms. And don't forget, if you don't follow me on social media, go follow me everywhere at Sooner Girl Pod, and share with a friend, invite a friend to download your episodes, and be sure and subscribe. And if you never want to miss anything from Sooner Girl Sports Pod, episodes, announcements, all sorts of fun things, you can subscribe for free with your email address on Substack, and you can have those updates delivered right to your inbox. I will put that link in the show notes so that you can get to that quickly and easily. Also, I have my locker room, which is a girls community, and it's only $5 a month, and you get lots of fun perks with that. I will put more information in that in the show notes as well for those who are interested. I also have merch available. I have t-shirts, hoodies, hats, stickers, and new to the merch shop just in time for warm weather is our tank tops, and they are super adorable. They are only $20 a piece. So hop on over to the merch store and join us for Merch March. If you do have a merch purchase in the month of March, I'm going to have a special invitation for you in the next couple of weeks that you won't want to miss out on. So I hope that you will join us for that. And again, I will put the link in the show notes. So thank you again for joining me this week for Sooner Girl Sports Pod. You'll Boomer Sooner. There's lots of sports to come up with our basketball team and our softball team and baseball going on the road. So let's cheer them on. So Boomer Sooner, everybody. And I'll see you next Wednesday where we talk sports.